Got flat feet? Great! Because today, I'm gonna show you exactly how to fix your flat feet and avoid surgery. Because nobody wants to do that. What's up, guys? What's going on? You are rocking with Frankie D, the coach. And today I'm talking about flat feet. Now, this is a big issue for a lot of you guys out there, so I wanted to address it for you and basically make you understand that if you have a foot problem, you have to also address the rest of the lower leg. So your flat foot problem may not actually be caused by your feet, but it might be caused by your hip. So here's the big thing. Whenever there is pain or an issue in your structure, you can't just look at the place that has the problem or where the pain is. It usually is not the cause of the pain. So if your foot flattens, right? It could be a foot problem, but it could also be a hip problem. And more than likely, it's both. And you have to be able to address both. And today I'm gonna show you a 3-step sequence that you need to put into action to actually be able to fix your foot problem. So here's what I'm talking about when it comes to the entire sequence. If the foot flattens, that means it gets flat, the arch flattens out, and it starts to roll to the inside. Look how it takes the entire leg with it. It takes the knee and makes it dive to the inside. It also makes the hip dive to the inside. Now this pattern, if you're gonna run, jump, sprint, jog, elliptical, whatever it is, if you're gonna do this over and over, and every time your foot hits the floor, this happens, you're gonna have a lot of problems. So you may not just feel it in your foot, you're probably almost definitely gonna feel it in your knee, your hip, your lower back. It causes a ton of issues up the chain, right? So here's the whole thing. What came first, the chicken or the egg? Does the foot flatten because the hip doesn't control the inside action? Or does the hip not control the inside action before the foot goes to the center? We don't really freaking know. We just need to make sure the thing does this and not this. So the foot, the hip, the foot. What's really causing the problem? We don't really know. We just gotta make sure we fix the problem. That's what we're doing here. So 3 steps in this equation. First one is isolate the foot with exercise. Make the foot stronger, right? Isolate the hip with exercise. That's the second one. Okay, make the hip stronger, and then we integrate them both, the hip and the lower leg, to be able to put the entire pattern together so you don't run into these issues when you're actually doing activity. So the first step is isolate the foot. Now what happens? Your arch doesn't work appropriately, right? So normally, if the foot had a nice arch, it would look something like that, but it doesn't, it flattens to the ground. So we need to strengthen these muscles on the bottom side of the foot to be able to sit up on a better arch. All right, so step number 1 in making that foot feel a little bit better is to be able to create an arch. Strengthen these muscles down here, grip, 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 get that arch going and rock from there. The second step in the sequence is to be able to isolate the hip muscles. So if your foot flattens, it usually takes the rest of the chain with it, right? We showed you how that works. It takes the entire leg with it. So we want to be able to strengthen the outer hip muscles, your hip abductors, to be able to prevent the inside motion of the knee. And this is basically what's happening is the hip, what goes first, the foot or the hip? We really have no idea, but they're both causing this action of the knee diving towards the inside of the body, which is really unhealthy, right? So it may not be a foot problem. It might very well be a hip problem. You need to isolate those muscles, strengthen up those abductors to be able to control that action, and then eventually we integrate them in the next step. The third step in this exercise sequence is to now integrate the foot in the hip. So we're gonna put you basically on one leg. Can you balance and now be able to control that arch? We worked on the arch, right? Can you control the hip? The hip controls the entire leg from collapsing in. So in these integrated exercises, it really mimics and interacts with what you're gonna do in actual physical activity, right? You're running, you're jumping, you're constantly on one leg, right leg, left leg, right leg, left leg, right? Okay, that's sports, that's athleticism, that's everything active that you do. Well, every time you do that, if your knee dives to the inside, we got a problem. So that's controlled at both the foot and the hip. So you're taking everything you learned in isolating the foot, everything you learned and now isolating the hip and putting it together in an integrated fashion so that now when you go to do activity, the foot doesn't flatten, the knee doesn't dive in, and the hip does control the entire action. All right, guys, so that's how you fix the foot. Now, the sequence that I just showed you, you can plug in any foot exercise, any isolated hip exercise that works on abductors, anything that works on the bottom of the foot, as well as any balancing exercise that makes you control the hip and the foot. This is corrective exercise. We want to correct a problem, right? You can do this on your own, and I would always recommend it. So on your own, outside of exercise, if you want to fix this problem, you got to do it daily on your own outside of exercise, but especially, specifically, before you go into exercise activity, because that's the time where you need it the most. That's the time where you need to be the most safe. So you need all your muscles firing appropriately in the proper sequence in order to go into exercise and not make any problems worse. So again, the big thing, make sure you're doing this daily on your own, and before you get into exercise is exactly when you're gonna do this sequence here. All right, guys, that's it. That's how you fix flat and busted feet. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you really did, make sure you show it with a friend that's got flat and busted feet also, so they can help fix that up. And if you really did enjoy this video, we'd love you to head down below, subscribe to this channel. I'm Frankie D, the coach. Check you next time.